Ferdinand was a gorgeous thoroughbred racehorse. He was very successful on the track, winning the Kentucky Derby in 1986. The overall earnings of this majestic horse were over $3 million. After retiring from racing at a very early age, he was sent to a breeding farm. Several foal crops later, it was decided that he was not going to produce the desired winners. He was sold to a Japanese breeder who wanted to have American-bred horses. After several years of Ferdinand being abroad, his original owners attempted to locate him with the hopes of bringing him home to their farm and letting him live out his days enjoying open pastures and green grass. Unfortunately, it was discovered Ferdinand ended up being killed in a slaughterhouse. Apparently, his Japanese owners decided he had lived out his usefulness. The question is, how does a horse that has made his owner over $3 million in winnings end up becoming slaughtered for meat? Humans have been hunting animals for food since the beginning of civilization. We've raised them in captivity for work and slaughter. Evidence of this has been recorded as far back as the prehistoric times. Over the years, humans have evolved as hunters, resulting in it becoming increasingly difficult to make the argument that the slaughter of certain animal species for human consumption is morally acceptable, while the slaughter of other animals for human consumption is morally reprehensible. My goal today is to explain to you why it's morally unacceptable to allow the slaughter of horses to continue. The last of the slaughterhouses in the United States were closed in 2007 after legislature was passed enforcing this decision. There continues to be debate for this and against this. To get a better picture of how horse slaughter occurs, let's follow the journey that horses take on their way to the slaughterhouse. To begin, horses may be bought at auctions, or sometimes a middleman may even answer a personal ad and promising the owner that the horse will have a great home and live out its life on green pastures, when realistically the horse is about to meet its end. Then the horse is transported to the slaughterhouse, sometimes in inhumane conditions. Double-decker trailers used for cattle are sometimes used when they have low ceilings, cramped quarters, resulting in uncomfortable conditions. This can result in horses fighting or even falling to the floor during transport, which can lead to sometimes devastating injuries. Once the horse reaches a destination, they are unloaded into corrals to await their fate. Eventually, they'll make their way to what's called the kill chute. They enter the narrow chute and a gate slams closed behind them, locking them into the small stall. The horse is trembling with fear and smells the blood. He sees the dead carcasses hanging all around him, and then a device is placed against the forehead of the horse and a trigger is pulled. This device is called the captive bolt gun, and it's a 9-inch retractable bolt that is actually shot into the brain of the horse, rendering it unconscious. A chain is quickly wrapped around the back leg and it's hoisted into the air. Its throat is then cut and it's bled out. This is how the process unfolds. Many arguments are made in favor of the reinstatement of the slaughter of horses. Some believe that there is a surplus of unwanted horses whose owners cannot afford euthanasia. The cost of euthanasia and cremation, or the burial of horses, is very expensive. Some believe that once a horse is no longer useful, why not make a profit by selling it to a slaughterhouse? The closing of the slaughterhouses have caused the horse market to plummet. Some people claim that there's a huge increase in these unwanted horses. People are actually turning them loose because they can't afford to keep them anymore. Some horses are just left to starve and suffer. Injured or old horses live out a life of suffering due to the owner having few options. Horses are actually being illegally transported to Mexico for slaughter, and these slaughterhouses are not regulated, resulting in the horses suffering needlessly. In the beginning of this speech, I felt strongly about being pro-slaughter, and after doing the research, I've uncovered many ugly secrets that have led me in a new direction. Undercover investigators have discovered that most of the slaughterhouses were not following protocol. Horses were being slaughtered alive due to the captive bolt not effectively killing them. A horse's natural reaction is the fight or flight. It will avoid the killer placing the gun to its head at all costs, tossing its head, jumping to avoid contact, and as a result, it may take several attempts with the gun to completely kill it and it's actually been witnessed that these horses are slaughtered while they're still alive. Some might ask, if horses aren't being slaughtered, where will all the unwanted horses go? And with no special infrastructure in place to absorb the surplus of unwanted horses, what will become of them? But some say this surplus is just a myth. Horses are actually being kept longer, sold to others, humanely euthanized, or donated to retirement and rescue facilities. The Hoofed Animal Humane Society reported that since the closing of the slaughterhouses, abuse cases actually dropped. Horse theft has dropped 34%, as most horses were just stolen and then sold to the slaughterhouses. In conclusion, the research I've done over the past 2 weeks has revealed an ugly truth. Horse slaughter has been illegalized in the United States for a reason. There's evidence that many of these animals suffer needlessly, and regulations were not enforced, resulting in ridiculously heinous killings. What can you do to help, you ask? As this subject once again comes before Congress to reinstate the senseless slaughter of horses in the United States, ask your congressman to vote no.